Hey everyone,
Hi everyone.
welcome. This is a Depop and Vendoo webinar, How Does Depop Work? Thank you so much everyone for joining us tonight. As you know, Vendoo hosts tons of reseller events, educational webinars, workshops, and more, all about tips and tricks, community updates, and all things reselling. So I'm Erynn from Vendoo. This is Ryan, and let's dive right in. Next slide.
There we go. Well, this is us.
Ryan, you can go first.
Sure. Hi everyone. So happy to be here. Thank you so much for joining us today. Definitely drop your Depops, drop your where you're calling in from. It's so nice to see everyone. Well, sort of see everyone, that is. A little bit about me. I'm a seller growth manager at Depop. So that means that I focus on seller education and work closely with sellers of all different levels. I also oversee Depop's top seller program. And I am actually a top seller myself. So that is actually how I ended up working at Depop. So um, you are in great hands this evening with sellers just like yourself. So we will tell you all of our best tips and tricks and all there is to come. But yeah, I'll pass it to you, Erynn. Thank you.
Hey everyone, super excited to be here. Thanks for joining. I'm Erin. I'm a content creator and reseller expert at Vendoo. I myself am a Depop seller as well, and it was through my love of selling that I've joined and partnered with Vendoo. So happy to be here and really excited to share all this info with you.
Awesome. So this is just a little overview of our agenda. We're going to start off with just some insight onto Depop, where Depop is today, and where we're going, and then jump into some Depop myths and debunk some of those crazy myths out there. And lastly, some pro tips and features for scaling your business with Depop. And lastly, a favorite, a Q&A session where we can answer all of your Depop questions.
Make sure for the Q&A that you don't put questions in the chat. Instead, along the bottom of your screen, you'll see a little icon for Q&A. That is where I'll pull from when we do the Q&A section. The chat keeps moving, but the Q&A organizes questions well. So if you have a question about Depop Vendoo or anything of the like, please put that right in the Q&A.
And on that note, everyone stay till the end. We will have an exciting giveaway. So we will have four total winners. One very, very lucky winner is going to win 6 months of free boosting on Depop and also 6 months of free Vendoo. So 6 months of just awesome tools for your business. And then three people are going to win some awesome swag from both of us. So starting off, we're going to kick it off with some just insight on Depop. So if you didn't know, we're Depop. We have about 43 million registered users and growing. And we are actually the fastest growing fashion resale marketplace in the US. Here's a bit about what we stand for. First is making fashion circular for everybody and really championing that circular mindset of buying secondhand, buying what's already out there rather than buying new. And also opportunities. So, very much relevant here, being able to cater to entrepreneurs and find opportunity in the resale business. Lastly, self expression, creating a place for all people to find their personal style and feel a part of the community. We've collaborated a bunch with some super hyper relevant brands across fashion, tech, music, and etc. If you are in New York by any chances, you might have seen that we did a bunch of really fun events and pop ups. We had a block party in Soho and lots of other exciting events around the area, and more to come. So stay tuned. Now we're going to jump into some Depop myths. So this is really about these things out there. We've read Reddit. Erynn and I are very much in the community. We know what people are saying. So we're here to really bust those myths and tell you what the truth really is. So first, is Depop's audience only Gen Z and only young? That is not true. So Depop does have a very diverse community of many ages, sizes, and backgrounds. Really excitingly, we actually launched kidswear this past year as an exciting new category for growth. So definitely list your kidswear if you have that. And second, only niche brands or super specific styles perform well on Depop. Also not true. People might think Y2K, Gen Z only. That's not true. We have it all. So this is really a good visual of how Depop works. We're search first, not follower first. So that means that when you search something in the search bar or every time you log onto Depop, it is super relevant to you. And similar to a lot of social media, so like a TikTok, the more and more you like things, interact, the more and more your pages are going to be personalized to you, your sizes, your views, your interests. So, what that means for a seller is that you should make sure that your listings are the best listings they can be and let Depop do the rest to really bring that to the most relevant potential buyers. So, that's really through stock selection, good photography, title and description, and really competitive price, which I'm sure is no surprise to the audience here. And these are actually some of the top brands that perform really well on Depop. They're not niche brands. They're everyday high street staples. So if you have any of these brands, any of these categories, list them on Depop. There is an audience for everything.
We analyzed the data from Vendoo users that sell on Depop 2025 year to date since January 1st, and these are the top brands sold on Depop from Vendoo. Vintage makes number one, and oftentimes you'll see people list things that are unbranded or non-popular brands on Depop as American vintage. So that's cumulative as that of that as well. Interestingly, what would have been number four on this list is actually unbranded. So it really just goes to show what Ryan said. You can sell anything and everything on Depop.
And then this is another one. I know coming from other platforms, you might think buyers are unserious and sellers make less on Depop. That is definitely not true. So to tackle the second part, buyers make less, or sellers make less, that's definitely not true. We have a no selling fee. So what that means is that unlike other platforms, there is no commission taken from Depop. There is a 1 to 2% transaction fee. But beyond that, there is nothing. You will get 98% of what you listed at and what it sells for. There is, keep in mind, a buyer marketplace fee. So that's super important in pricing your items to make sure that it's competitive and standardized across any platforms. So we'll dive more into that later and how to position that with your own pricing. But I know that Erynn has some tips as well. Ooh, Erynn, I think you're muted.
Thank you. Vendoo's actually incorporated a Depop fee calculator right into the website. It's pretty advanced too. So you can enter your location, your shipping method, because of course your profit will vary based on the way that you ship. You can even enter if you have an item boosted. You can enter that information and get an exact idea of what you'll profit per sale price on Depop. But as a reminder, especially if you're a multi-marketplace reseller, Depop has amongst the lowest selling fees. So it's not something you need to be super concerned about, especially if you're used to selling on other marketplaces where there's a fee up to 20% or beyond.
And then to tackle the first part, are buyers unserious? No, that is actually the culture of Depop. I know that there's always questions about binding offers, and with other platforms, that really works. But we've tested it, and we will never put something out if it doesn't support our sellers and make our sellers sell more. And we've found that buyers oftentimes send multiple offers to similar items. So maybe they found a green version of the shirt, a pink version of the same shirt, and a blue version, and they'll send out different offers for each and then kind of weigh the options to see which is the best item that they want to end up purchasing. So in that, it's really part of the Depop culture. So a great way to really embrace that is send a quick message whenever you accept or counter. My personal opinion is I never decline an offer. I always counter because in the end of the day, that's kind of closing a door, and I never want to close the door on a sale. So I always send a quick message, let them know that I can ship quickly or things like that that really help them choose me as a trusted seller and kind of go the extra mile. And lastly, listing on Depop is complicated. Also, very, very not true.
Listing on Depop is actually quite easy, especially in comparison to other marketplaces. The Depop listing form is super intuitive, and tonight we're going to go through listing on Depop and what makes a great listing, but I'd also just like to highlight some tools that Vendoo has that makes it even easier. Vendoo has listing templates, so for any and all marketplaces, you can create your own custom templates. I recommend creating them by category. In those templates, you can pre-select fields, for example, the category. You can even pre-enter information in your description fields. So a great example of that for the clothing seller would be a measurement template. So these templates cut your listing time in half because you've pre-entered so much information. Vendoo also has a ton of AI tools. We have full photo editing as well as background removal, which uses AI, and that's through Photo Room. There's also different AI tools for listing. One will annotate your thoughts aloud as you photograph your item and format it into a description in the mobile app. The other is available on the computer, and that one takes some information and creates an SEO optimized listing. With these tools, listing on Depop and everywhere is even easier with Vendoo. So check those out. The best performing listings on Depop are simple and to the point. So here are some things that make Depop unique. You all know how to list an item. If you're here, you're probably a reseller. I'm not going to sit here and tell you to photograph every angle of every item, but let's talk about what's unique in the Depop experience. First, modeling items is not a must. That's a misconception I hear a lot too. Clean flat lays and very clean hanger photos perform just as well. You'll see in the example on the left, there's an example of both. Be sure that you're using your original photos though, no stock photos. Depop is one of the ones that is very zealous about that, and they will remove them. The first few words in your description are the keywords that buyers will search by to find the item. So a lot of times people ask me, well, when I cross list, there's no title field on Depop. That's true. But it's the first few words, somewhere between 3 and 7, that matter the most in terms of searchability. So you'll see here right next to my handle, I have what I'd call a mini title. Cross-listers. When you're cross-listing to Depop, be sure to create that mini title if it's not otherwise in your description. You might do so by literally copying and pasting and then condensing what would be your title everywhere else. A tip, try searching on Depop to find similar items, and you can see the words that people are using and become familiar with how the search works. But it's not difficult. You'll learn it quickly, and it's very, very intuitive. If you're on Depop, you might have noticed that their search works phenomenally in yielding relevant results. And its newsfeed is very tailored to you, and it displays items based on your buyer history and your activity. That's the way it's supposed to be everywhere, but Depop does an excellent job. You also, of course, want to use relevant keywords and hashtags in your listings. That is everything. Like Ryan said, Depop is about style and vibes and self-expression, and some of those silly, trendy hashtags and keywords really do help your items to be found. I always tell sellers that it only takes one keyword for the right buyer to find your item. I also want to shout out here the measurements in the description. Measurements are huge on Depop, and Depop shoppers want to see them. If you don't have them, you're going to be asked for them. If the buyer even takes the time to ask you, but the best thing to do is to provide them in your listings descriptions at the onset. Of course, like everywhere, you want to describe condition and flaws very transparently. I'm going to shout out to the Depop listing videos, which really help you beyond on those 8 photos to show your item, its condition, maybe it modeled or it propped. You also, of course, want to fill out all of the attributes. There are a couple unique fields on the Depop form. For example, the style dropdown. That's a built-in opportunity for you to get more searchability. If Depop is asking you for information, even if it's optional, I recommend that you treat it as if it's mandatory. It's that information that helps promote your items in searches and feeds to the right buyers that want those types of things. And of course, color and style tags are super important too. So take your time on your Depop listings. But Depop's simple and to the point. It's one of the easiest marketplaces to list on, and one of the marketplaces that does the best job maximizing searchability for the right buyers.
Awesome. Yeah, I just to reiterate what Erynn said, keep it simple, keep it to the point. The algorithm really is super like description heavy and takes into account what you say is so important. So if you're not sure what to put, like don't overthink it. Write exactly what it is at the bare minimum if you're not sure. And if you're not sure about style tags or things like that, we actually do have a blog called the Depop Circular. And we actually outline what all of those different styles are if you want to familiarize yourself with that. This is just a key kind of tip that I use sometimes when I'm not completely sure how I want to list something. Maybe I'm not sure what to call something. Like this was a quite unique top. It's actually backless. So I wrote out what I thought was a good description, and I asked ChatGPT to make an image of what it thought it would look like, and it actually was pretty good. So that means that this is pretty good description and kind of getting across what the product is and should be able to surface to relevant buyers in that way. Now we're going to jump into some pro tips and features for all of the pros on the call. So first, if you're new, I did see some comments saying I'm new to Depop or I'm going to start. First off, welcome, and we're so excited to have you. We recommend that you list 5 or more items in your first listing day to really maximize your chances of selling. And consistency is super important after. Fresh listings are favored in search, so prioritize adding new items whenever possible. If that's one item a day and you have 7 items to post in a week, spacing them out every day is super helpful rather than a drop schedule. We usually find that consistency is much more important than kind of dumping everything on there first, which I think for someone maybe transitioning their listings from other platforms is super, super helpful to keep in mind. Slow and steady is good. Lastly, promote your shop when you can. So everybody, promote your shop right now in the chat. And seeing different likes and saves are positive signals. So go follow, go like, go save all of the shops that you like in this chat and engage with each other, support each other, and ask your friends and family to engage too.
You can list on Depop better and faster with Vendoo. We talked about custom listing templates for different categories to help you list faster. And we also did talk about photo editing and background removal by photo room. We mentioned the AI listing enhancing, which generates optimized descriptions. There's also some other tools, like default fields on Vendoo are fields that you can set as a default preference so that you don't have to enter them every single time. A great example of this is your shipping preferences. Vendoo also has a ton of bulk tools and a ton of automation. Special shout out to bulk listing and bulk editing, which streamline inventory for large or even small inventory just to save time. And the bulk delist and relist feature turns your stale items into brand new first time listings in seconds. So definitely try that out as well.
Next, we're going to go over some pro tips for pricing. So, like we chatted about earlier, it is super key to price competitively from the point of listing on Depop. So, different ways you could do this. First, similar to the tip with finding good keywords, search items that are similar on Depop and see what those top performing, and by top performing, I mean top in search items are that are similar. And then use some of those words and then look at the pricing to see kind of where a good range is. And we also, although many of you are likely listing in Vendoo, we do actually offer a suggested price. So if you do just pop in a picture on Depop without typing in the description or anything, it should actually give you an automatic description and a price. So that should be able to help you kind of benchmark where you want to go with your pricing there and what would sell. And that's all based on sold item stats that we have. And then next is actually a really new tool. I'm so excited about this. It's called Sold Item Search. Just a note here, it is exclusive to Boost Shop users, Note boost shop, not boosting individual listings. So you do have to boost your entire shop through that button. But we'll talk more about how to do that. What is boosting? You might not even know. We'll go into that in a little bit. But you do unlock sold item search, which will show you what's trending, where there are gaps, what's selling, and for how much, and for how what's selling the quickest too. You can also search for a specific item and see which items sold most recently as well. And then here's just a little tip on how to adapt your pricing to account for fee structures. So if you are trying to take home the same amount, so say you want to take home $20, to really sync across Depop, you have to keep in mind the buyer marketplace fee and how that will actually be portrayed to the buyer. So that is actually added when the buyer adds to cart, so they'll see that adjusted there. So the price that the buyer is paying if you don't adapt your pricing will be more on Depop. So just a note there to make sure that you do change the pricing, or else it could deter buyers from buying your piece on Depop if it's marked for the same price or same list price on another platform. So here's just an example with one platform with a 20% commission and then Depop with the 1 to 2% transaction fee and a 5% marketplace fee. You'd actually list at a different price, and then the price that the buyer would pay, so the list price, would be a bit different. To really encourage buyers, there's a lot of really exciting opportunities to further incentivize. So there's discounting, and that shows up with a little crossover on the Depop listing. There are bundle deals, so you can set this up in your shop settings. So recommend adding like a 10 or 15% off if you buy 2 or more items. And then we also just launched shipping discounts. So this is being able to offer a discount to comp the pricing for the buyer and further incentivize them to click buy.
Here are some more ways that Vendoo helps you get more sales on Depop. So first is the send offers feature. Vendoo has offers for Depop and most marketplaces. And there's two different offer features actually. First, there's just bulk sending offers. So you can open up your Vendoo dashboard, go to the star icon for the seller tools, and from there, all of your items that have been liked on Depop will appear. Once you send offers, they disappear. So new ones will come up or items that are newly eligible to receive offers. So that's the way that you can do it in bulk, which means all at once, of course. But you don't even have to do that yourself in bulk because with Vendoo, you can also automate offers. And in automating that offers, Vendoo gives you a ton of control. First, of course, you can select when you'd like your offers to go out after the like. Then you can select the percent off of the asking price that you'd like the offer to be for. Beyond that, you can exclude items. You can exclude items by condition, by category, by price range. You can even tailor the offer percent by price range. So, for example, you could have a rule where all items under $50 are sent a 15% offer, whereas higher priced items like 51 to 100 might receive a higher offer. You can even exclude items entirely if there are items that are unique or special and you don't want these automated offers sent on your behalf. So with such control and personalization, you can really be assured that you're in control even when you're not at the computer and that the second new people like your items, they can receive those offers to incentivize a sale. The third, which I mentioned briefly before, is the bulk delist and relist. This is an amazing tool that helps you refresh your items. On Depop, as in most marketplaces, recency plays a factor in the amount of exposure an item gets. Now, I will say relevance is the primary factor, and you certainly shouldn't abuse this feature, but it is a great thing to do once your listings are stale. 30, 60, or 90 days are the common time frames that sellers use this feature. When you use Vendoo to delist and relist, what you're doing is you're actually totally deleting the item off of the marketplace, and then you're totally relisting it or reposting it as brand new. So for all purposes, especially exposure and SEO, it appears as a brand new first-time listing, which refreshes your item and incentivizes sales. Here's a demonstration of sending offers with Vendoo. You can go right to your platform. You'll see that the newly liked items show up as eligible. You can also see some of those customizations where you can create custom rules in Vendoo to control your automated offers so that you can stay in control even while you relinquish it to automation. And here's the page that demonstrates the exclusions so you can control those customizations.
And on top of that, as we talked about, offers are super important. So kind of setting up your shop to do offers automatically while you sleep will help you make sales when you sleep, which is the dream, isn't it? So this is actually a new feature. It's called auto respond to offers. This is something in Depop where when you view the listing, you can select auto respond to offers under manage your listing. And what this will do will auto accept or auto counter anything above that floor price. So definitely recommend setting this if these are items that you're seeing a lot of traction to or a lot of offers, to make sure that even when you're not at your phone or your computer, you can be accepting and making sales. And then next, Erynn and I are going to talk a little bit about boosting. So if you've been wondering what that is, now is the time. So boosted listings are actually 25% more likely to sell than non-boosted listings. What boosting is Depop's paid advertising feature that helps increase your items' visibility by placing them higher in search results and personalized buyer feeds. So what this means is we will find the right buyer, or a buyer that would be most interested in your item, most high intent buyer, and we will move your item up within their search. Oftentimes, this actually means that there is two listings. So that means at the top, they will see the boosted listing. There are certain slots at the top of that. And then at the bottom, or wherever naturally, organically your listing originally was, will also be there. So they're actually seeing it twice, which is awesome because it really increases visibility. And that said, if a buyer actually interacts and buys your organic listing, you don't even pay, which is great. So pretty much you only pay Depop unless Depop did its job. So that's something I really love as a seller. I don't feel like I'm paying for something unless they actually put in their work, which is awesome. So if a buyer purchases through a boosted view, there's an 8% fee based on the sale price. And when you boost, you actually do get to see some cool new stats like view count. And if you do boost your entire shop, like I said earlier, you will see sold item stats. Erynn, I don't know if you wanted to talk a little bit about your experience as well.
I do. Roughly half of my sales, actually, it's like 49% of my sales year to date come from boosted listings, which I think is a very, very powerful metric because it's pretty fair to say that if I didn't boost my entire shop, I would have half the sales. So that's even more powerful. I really like boosting. Like Ryan said, you know what you're getting out of it. It's only charged if your actual sale comes as a result of that. I boost my entire shop, and like I said, half of my sales are not boosted listings, so those were organic. You can also see all of your stats for all of those listings right on the app. So you can see the views and the views that are organic versus those boosting. It absolutely works. And even with that boosted fee, the marketplace fees on Depop are still lower than some of the other major marketplace fees. So to me, it's very brainless. Plus, of course, when you do boost your entire shop, which you can do just individual items, but when you do boost your entire shop, you get access to a ton more tools like those sold comps that just came out on Depop. So could not recommend boosting enough.
Awesome. I love to hear that. And lastly, if you have seen we have received some press on this. We recently just launched Depop Outfits. So if you were ever somebody who loved Polyvore or Clothia, like I was back in the day, making collages with different pieces and kind of like collaging things together or cutting things out of magazines, or maybe you love Pinterest, we have now brought it to Depop, which is so exciting. So now you can make outfits out of your items, out of other sellers' items, and they're all shoppable content. So if you haven't played around with this tool, definitely do it. They're going to show up in feeds, and another great way to really bring the community and personal style to Depop. You'll also be able to quickly save, and then you can post these to your social media. Super easy content to post to Pinterest and link out all of your pieces. So definitely a great piece of marketing information to have and a great way to just really connect with people. I'm kind of addicted to it. I keep playing with it. So please share your feedback. Let us know what you think. Awesome. So now that brings us to the end, and we will now kick off some Q&A.
Okay, so make sure if you have questions, you put those not in the chat, but in the Q&A box. We've answered a ton of questions already, and we have tons more that I have saved to ask live. So this is a question from Isaac. Ryan, is there a limit to how many listings you can post on Depop when you're new and first starting out?
No, there is not. So post it out. But like I said, I would recommend kind of spacing it out. So don't dump your whole catalog on the first day. I do recommend spacing it out between days. But no, there is no maximum that you can post.
That's good to know for the cross lister. So if they're going to join Depop, they don't have to worry about listing too quickly there. The next one here is from Sally. It says, how do you become a top seller on Depop? You asked
That
the right person.
You really did. Thank you, Sally. Well, I would love to see many of the people in this chat become top sellers. Um, how that works is if you've ever seen a little like check or a verification on people's profile, that indicates that they're a top seller. These are our exclusive and most on our top performing and most trusted sellers. So you have to, in order to qualify, make $1,000 for 4 consecutive months, have higher than a 4.5 star average, and ship most of your items, I think it's 90%, within 5 days, which I'm sure many of you are also running to the post so quickly. So that's easy peasy. But yeah, just more and more of a, I guess, of an incentive to post all of your items, get started, and a really exciting like goal to look for. Um, Hope to see many of you in the program. You also get added to a forum. So I will be in the forum so we can chat, and you get added to different Depop events and different things like that. So it's really fun and it's a great community.
Lainey said she can't find outfits on the PC, which brings me to a good point. There are additional tools for Depop sellers on the Depop app, so definitely make sure that you have the app. Janet wants to know where she can find Depop outfits.
It should be on the app. I don't believe that there's a web module at the moment, but if you go onto the Depop app, and it's on the Discover page, I think. You can, yes, on the Discover page, you can find and browse people's outfits. If you want to make one, you can go to any listing, and there should be on like the right side three little bubbles, and the top bubble is a little scissors, and that allows you to cut out the image, and that'll start creating a different collage there for you.
Amanese asked, can I use Vendoo on mobile? And yes, there is a Vendoo mobile app available for both Apple and Android. Glams asked if Depop has any sort of authentication program for designer or luxury items.
We don't at the moment, but that is something very top of mind. So if you have any feedback on that or anything you'd love to see, definitely drop it in the chat and we'll look through that.
Isaac asked if you plan on rolling out iOS exclusive things to Android and or PC. I know that's a dev question, but we'll we'll see what you can answer, Ryan.
Yeah, we do we do plan to have everything on web and also on Android. So don't worry if it's just a test, it might be just on iOS, but we oftentimes do tests with the different types of users. So that's why maybe you won't see new things yet, but definitely make sure your app is most up to date. A quick note on web too. There are additional tools on web, so like downloading your sales reports or seeing your reporting in like a bigger view. So definitely check out those tools on web as well.
This is a question from Karina, and she's asking what are actually Team Vendoo. Karina is asking about Vendoo plans and pricing. So the best way to get you that info, Karina, is to have Team Vendoo put a link to our pricing page in the chat. There are tons of flexible plans for every single type of seller, and there are also monthly plans as well as annual plans for a better discount, so you can explore what works best for you. And of course, you can try it for free. Okay. Sorry, there's so many great questions here. Sorry, I'm just removing duplicates here. This is a tip from Jessie. She said it's 100% worthwhile to ask a friend or family member for an old Apple device. I don't want to agree just for Depop. I think you can get a great Depop experience anywhere, but I will say as a reseller in general, I agree. It's all of the apps often prioritize, not just Depop, all of the marketplace apps often prioritize Apple. It's due to a lot of reasons, volume of use, permissions, the time it takes to get things approved, right? So it often comes first. There are even a couple other marketplaces that are only on Apple. So I know it's not fair to Android users, but Jesse, I'm inclined to agree. You can get a really, really cheap refurbished Apple device on eBay and use it on Wi-Fi only. If you're a reseller that sells on multiple marketplaces, it will provide you with a better selling experience. Carrie Dunn asked how shipping works on Depop, and I will let you take this one, Ryan. You're on mute.
Sorry. Do you mind saying that one more time?
How does shipping work on Depop?
That is a good question. So we use Depop shipping. So what that means is if or when you make a new sale, a you'll get the shipping label sent right to you, and then that you'll be able to print it out right on the app, and then you don't need to worry about buying shipping or marking anything as shipped or any of that. You get the label, you can put it on your package, and once you drop it off and it's scanned at the post office, it'll automatically go to shipped and update the buyer. So no extra legwork on your end.
Someone else asked about shipping internationally, and I'll take that one just from the seller experience. I love Pirate Ship. I'm a huge fan of Pirate Ship. Pirate Ship is it's almost, I call it the Expedia of shipping. It looks at USPS, FedEx, and UPS and other options and tells you what's the cheapest. They also have a special program called Pirate Ship Simple Export, and you actually have to opt into that. A little wonky. You have to message chat and say, please add this to my account. It's free, and they will. And that allows you to ship to, I think it's 42 countries, really inexpensively. It's kind of, if you're familiar with eBay, it's like eBay's international shipping program. You're actually shipping to a US hub and they're opening it there, they're packaging it, they're handling all custom things to send it overseas, but you're really paying a discounted price. You're paying as if you're just shipping within the United States, slightly more. So it's amazing. It really takes a lot of the guesswork out of customs and international shipping. I hear all the time that people don't ship internationally because they're afraid or intimidated. Please don't be afraid. Seriously, I get so many international sales. If you're a vintage seller like me, buyers around the world love American vintage. Do not cut your audience into a tiny little fraction when there is such a big Depop world out there. There are also several questions about hashtags, cores, and aesthetics, and I would love to take this one as well because we actually have an amazing resource from that at Vendoo that I just put in the chat. That is your cores and aesthetics glossary, and there's cool pictures, collages, style inspo, and hashtag suggestions. We update that very regularly because sometimes some of the trending hashtags are fleeting and change with time. So it's always updated and it gives you visuals. So that's a great place. But I'll let you pitch in too to ask about where you learn your trending cores, aesthetics, and hashtags.
Yeah, great question. I'm also going to drop a resource, so get the bookmarks ready, everybody. I'm going to drop in the Depop merchandising handbook. So this actually goes through a lot of the really popular styles on Depop, similar to Vendoo. And we also add a lot about like just how the trends work and key retail moments as well. So when to list for different events in the US and around the world. So like homecoming, things like that. This was put together by our merch team. And I I would say in terms of the styles, if if you are more of like a niche or a specific kind of trend seller and you have a specific kind of style, the the different hashtags and making sure you add the styles is super important. But if you do sell like more like mass market and not trendy in that way, you don't stress yourself out over the hashtags. Just list it simply exactly what it is and then let Depop associate it with a style, with a trend, and find the right buyer. So if you're not sure, don't worry, and we'll do the rest there.
In the chat, I have a couple technical support questions about Vendoo and or Depop. And just to respect Ryan's time and really everyone that joined, I'm going to say any customer service related questions. Both Vendoo and Depop have phenomenal customer service teams that are available and will be happy to help you. So please reach out directly. We're Depop sellers ourselves and definitely able to answer a lot of seller experience questions, but neither of us are customer support agents or tech teams, so we want you to get the best help right from the source. Lady asked about AI modeled photos on Depop, Ryan.
Yes. As of now, our stance is that you can use AI modeled photos if you'd like, as long as pretty much you can list anything as long as you own the rights to it. And that's where it becomes an issue with stock imagery. So if you do own the rights to it, you can use it. That said, we do find that natural photos really do perform the best. And models are not perfect yet for AI imagery, so really getting the normal material and seeing the way that it moves and really fit somebody or the way that it lays on the ground or hangs from a hanger is actually super important. So no need to like make to really go super crazy on making it seem like extra polished. Literally putting it on a white background, laying it on the ground is good for Depop. Doesn't have to be super stylized. We do find that our users really love that authenticity and seeing exactly what they're going to get.
Fun fact about my personal selling is that I model, and more frequently, it's not actually me, but I pay models like real humans, not AI, and those listings outperform all other types of photography across every single marketplace. So I'm a big fan of modeling. Maybe in time AI will get better and eliminate the need, but if you've tried to create AI photos, they are getting better, but they're very much hit or miss with what they're doing right now. I've seen some wonky things. Um, okay. How does a buyer know if you have set a bundle discount on Depop? It doesn't appear on the storefront banner like sites with other marketplaces.
Hi, it should.
That's what I
So when you set your shop policies, that should all show up when a buyer looks at your shop. It may not be viewable for you since you're the seller, but looking on someone else's account, it should pop up. And you can set those shop settings in your account settings. Also, a note on, I know we were talking about international shipping, to if you're going to offer that, make sure that that's toggled on so that we can show your items to, and all of your items to potential buyers in other countries as well. And that's a shop setting as well.
Kelly asked a great question. And Kelly, this is actually something Ryan and I discussed privately, debated even. Kelly said, so when cross-posting, do you put a lower price for Depop versus other marketplaces? And Ryan always encouraged that. And I originally told her, off camera, Ryan, I don't like that. Like, why do I want to sell my items for less when I can sell them elsewhere for more? Like, I don't want to do, I know fees are lower, but like, I want that to mean more profit. Like, I don't want that to mean a lower price and the same profit. But she made a great point. The reason Depop has zero seller fee and only that small seller payment processing fee is because there is a small fee for the buyers. So as she illustrated so beautifully in her graphic, there is that small buyer fee. So if my item is listed for $50 everywhere, it actually costs them more than $50, right? They've got their $50, potentially their shipping costs, potentially their sales tax, and then potentially that 5% fee. And when you put those things together, it adds up. So yes, I'm actually going to start. I started literally yesterday because the day before yesterday is when Ryan and I had this talk. I started offering them a little bit less. And I more than can afford to do so without the seller fee, even when boosting. It still makes the total fee like 11%. I'm originally a Poshmark seller. When Poshmark's 20, and anything below that to me is phenomenal. So great question and a great consideration about the implication of a buyer fee and what it means for the buyer. Um, My items are only on eBay. Can they be imported to Depop from eBay? One step in between. You're going to import them into Vendoo and then cross-list them on Depop and anywhere else you'd like with Vendoo. Vendoo is integrated with 11 marketplaces and more coming soon. Importing is super quick. You can do it in bulk. Okay, technical questions. Where, Ryan, can Depop shoppers find that outfit tool on the Depop app?
It should be in the Discover page if you want to look at what other people are posting. Make sure that your app is the most updated. This just rolled out, so this is like the newest thing. And if you do want to create an outfit, you could go into your own listing, for example, and then click that little scissor, and then that'll start creating it. And if you want to add to one of your outfits, so I actually, when I find something that I really like, I add it to an outfit, and then I'll go back and kind of create the outfit over time because I know I really like a piece. This could be like sold items or new listings, any status you can use, and it'll like remove the background and crop it there. So I would say two answers to that. You could make one by clicking on the listing, and if you want to view others, you should see it on the Discover page. There may be some iterations out there, just keeping that in mind. So it may not look exactly like that on the Discover page. For making one, it'll look the same just because it's a new thing. So our team might be testing it transparently. So it might be somewhere around those there on either Home or Discover.
Anonymous asked, what is the difference between boosting through Depop app and paying the fee versus boosting through Vendoo with unlimited plan? And on the Vendoo side, Vendoo doesn't offer boosting, and the unlimited plan, while a great plan, it's my Vendoo plan, it has nothing to do with each other. I think maybe you're confusing the term boost with some like of the other words we have for marketplaces, right? On grill, do bump, and there's refresh and share. I think that's a verbiage issue there. So I just want to clarify that boosting is something that you can do on Depop. It's a Depop specific feature. It can be done on the Depop app and it boosts your items. It's the program that Ryan talked about where you get more likes and views and you pay that 8% fee if it comes as a result. So for Vendoo users, what that means is you can boost your whole shop once and it'll boost everything. So you list something and it's automatically boosted. Or if you choose to individually boost items, at your discretion, after you list the item is when you can select on the Depop app what to boost. But that is something that's done right on Depop. Sandra said, is it a good idea to list your entire closet from Poshmark, or should I only post Y2K and Gen Z fashion? Ryan.
Definitely post it all. Um, there are so many different brands and so many different styles on Depop. So my best recommendation, if you're just testing out Depop or you're not really sure what works yet, list everything. List it consistently throughout, like we were saying before. Consistent listing is good, but don't try to curate for the platform. Put everything there and then see what works. Especially using Vendoo and as a platform, it makes it so easy to just list everything over. So why not give it a test and then look at the stats that Vendoo provides and see what worked best on Depop.
Where exactly in the app is the extra stats and data info for boosted items, Ryan?
Yeah, so for boosted items specifically, when you click on a listing that you've boosted, you'll actually see, and I'm pulling it up on my phone right now, you'll see offers bags likes, which is normal. And then you'll also see views and clicks, and there'll be a little like lightning bolt, which means boosting, and it'll say what that impact is of boosting for that specific listing. So it is listing specific. There's not like a high level stat since it is listing per listing. That said, for shop stats in general, if you do click on, there's like a big rectangle on your own shop page if you're on the app that says how much you've earned and what is your potential revenue of your shop. If you click on that, you'll actually open up more shop stats. Um, and that provides more of the high level like boosting as well as overview of just your shop in general. And you'll see like different boosted listing stats below that. There's even more extensive stuff on web too.
We're going to continue the Q&A for a bit more, but I did want to say I launched the webinar giveaway. So to remind you, one lucky winner will win 6 free months of Vendoo, as well as 6 months of free boosting on Depop. 3 other lucky winners will win some Depop merch. So to enter the giveaway, you can look on your screen right now. There's a pop-up. You can enter your Depop handle. If you're not on Depop just yet, that's totally okay. Put a smiley face or put I'm signing up soon. This is free for everyone to enter. The winner will be chosen at random, and stay tuned to your email inbox because Vendoo and or Depop will reach out to you probably tomorrow. Someone asked about pirate ship. Tons and tons of compliments, by the way, in the Q&A, Ryan. To both of us, to Vendoo, to Depop, exciting news, positive feedback. So we appreciate all of that. When someone creates an outfit out of a few of your Depop listings, can from that screen they purchase the outfit as a whole, Ryan?
That is actually something we're talking about. So maybe TBD. But you can see each individual listing on the bottom, so you can add them all to cart like that. And I guess a rec here from the seller side, it makes it so easy if you don't want to model your items to make an outfit and show your vision of how you would style it, save it down as an image or screenshot it, and you can actually put that into the carousel um, and really show like the way you would style it and really sell the product like that.
Jesse gave a really good reminder, so I'm going to highlight this. I love that you guys are giving tips too. We love to hear it. The reminder is to read Depop's terms of service to be sure you're not listing anything prohibited, which is really good advice for the Vendoo user that's going to start cross-listing on Depop. There's nothing too crazy that's not allowed or weird, but occasionally I've heard of, the eBay seller that sells like vintage knives, getting them all removed from Depop because knives, unfortunately, as a weapon, are not allowed. So while I do think for the most part the list is what you'd expect, it's always good to check out the terms of service on anywhere that you're selling. Liz asked, what do you charge for international shipping? And I personally base my rates on what the pirate ship simple export rates are. It's basically based on weight. Before I knew that pirate ship simple export existed, I kind of used to just put in arbitrary numbers. Like I would put in 30 as kind of a minimum and like 60 for heavy items. And to be honest with you, sometimes people just cashed out and I made that. But more often people would message me and ask about shipping and ask for a more calculated rate. But right now I'm putting the pirate ship simple export rates. Sometimes I end up making $5 in shipping. Sometimes I end up contributing my own, 5 to 10 because I didn't charge enough. But for me, that's working great because it all balances out. What about you, Ryan? What do you put in the shipping field for international?
I actually usually put like a blanket number for like smaller versus larger items. I would say something about like 30 to for a heavier item more. But I'm actually learning a ton of really good tips on a simple export. I actually did not know that. So I literally have it up on my screen to look into that as well. Um, just I saw there were some questions about this, so I wanted to clear up. We're talking about other tools here because for normal domestic shipping, you do use Depop Ship, so the label is sent to you. For international shipping, you do have to create a label and add the tracking. So just a note there that it's a little bit different.
Karina asked how to boost your entire closet. So shop, us poshers are used to calling it a closet, but on Depop, it's called a shop, just for fun. But anyways, you can boost the entire thing right in the app under your settings. Sorry, Ryan, I should have let you take that one, but
No, that's all good. A quick note too, if you we're all about automations here, Vendoo and Depop. So if you wanna start boosting, we totally recommend boosting your entire shop and it makes it really easy. So once you do that, you never have to go and click boost item again. Every new item you make is boosted. I know Erynn said that before, but I think that was a really good tip. Makes things really easy, especially if you're not listing natively in the Depop app.
it's a big deal to us OG boosters when it first came out because it wasn't an option. So you were in the habit of after you listed going to Depop to boost it. So I love that it's an option because now I'm never forgetting. If you had to pick one top tip, Ryan, if a seller on Depop wants to sell more, what would the most important tip you give them be?
Oh, that's so hard. I'll send you my whole slide deck. No. I would say bring if you have a bunch of listings and you have great inventory, which many of you do, you're here because you do resell. List it all to Depop and learn from that. And then I would say the biggest change is just with the pricing. And then see what works for you. See what sells quickly, and then adapt as you go to really learn from there. And it really is like a learning experience. When I first started listing, I put everything there, and honestly, the things that I didn't think were going to sell sold. And I highly recommend just giving a shot, doing the research, and really learning from there.
There's a couple questions about if someone can use stock photos when they're not the cover photo, but guys, I'm telling you no. From the person I have been suspended from Depop. You cannot use photos that you don't own the rights to. It's a violation of federal law, it's disrespectful to the creators, and it's not genuine to the buyer who wants to see your item. Um,
I do
oh,
have a Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
After
I
you.
have a tip there. Um, if you do, if you do have like a style number or anything like that, make sure to just put that somewhere in the bio while you can't, or in the listing, while you can't do a stock photo. If it is something that's like a really popular style, or you want someone to be able to search it and maybe see on their own how it would fit. So say it's like an anthropology top and it has a specific style name, definitely be sure to add that in so people can see and like kind of shop around what it actually looks like if they're not certain.
This is a last chance to enter the giveaway. It looks like all but 19 of the people presently here have entered the giveaway. So amazing turnaround and amazing participation, everyone. If you don't have a Depop shop, you can put a smiley face, you can put signing up soon, put whatever you'd like. There will be four winners. First place takes 6 free months of Vendoo and 6 free months of Depop boosting. That's a huge value. I wish I could enter. And three additional winners get some Depop merch. Catherine asked if her whole shop is boosting, does she need to go in and individually boost each item?
No, if you clicked that in the boost shop in your settings to boost your entire shop, you don't have to do anything. So if you had, say, boosted like 5 items and the rest of your shop wasn't, and you clicked boost shop, everything that you have posted will be boosted now. And then everything in the future will also be boosted. So it's completely hands off. You don't need to worry about clicking that button or anything there. It's completely automated for you.
Tracy asked if a schedule of posting 3 to 5 times a week is a decent schedule for a seller.
Yeah, I think that whatever works best for you and your schedule. I personally like to post a little bit every day. So I'll make a bunch of drafts like over the weekend because that fits best with my schedule because I also work a 9 to 5. So I want to kind of schedule it around that. And then I'll post throughout the week, like one or two or 10, depending on how productive my weekend was. And that's kind of how I do it. I don't know what's your schedule like, Erynn?
I list every day. Now, I don't always list brand new items. I love that Vendoo's delist and relist feature because I too have a 9 to 5. And to be frank, as an attorney and a mom, it's more of like a 6 a.m. to midnight by the time it all gets completed. So that's why I could not be a reseller without Vendoo and the bulk tools and the automation tools. The delist and relist feature means even when I don't have brand new items to list, I have brand new items hitting my Depop shop. All right, we will take so many nice compliments. I love the Vendu community. We're gonna take two more since they're a couple minutes over. Are items over 5 pounds a problem on Depop like they are on Poshmark, Ryan?
Does that infer that we would take a higher commission?
Sorry. No, you can't ship above 5 pounds with the standard Poshmark label. You have to pay to upgrade it, and the fees are expensive. So
Ah,
basically, let me rephrase. How does shipping heavy items work on Depop?
that is a great question, and that makes much more sense. Thank you for clarifying. There are preset sizes for different labels, and there is one that's kind of a blanket more than, I think it is 5 pounds. I can double check if we need to. And that just is all encompassing if you do have heavier items. It's just going to be that set price. There's no variation, and you don't need to do anything beyond list it and select the right price. And actually, on that note, we are actually doing a lot of tests to make it even easier so that you don't even need to select the ship price. Like that's just done for you, which is so much easier. Another hands-off tip.
A couple people actually asked about that. You can tell there's other resellers that are on Reddit like us, and I think they've seen information about the testing. I actually skipped those questions to not confuse the person that's new to Depop and taking all this in as to what might be an A/B test. Do you want to speak on that a little, or should we skip it for simplicity, Ryan?
Sure. I mean, the main idea there is we are taking in information based on what you've sold, what sells, and the weight, and then calculating what a reasonable ship price would be there. So the ultimate goal there is to really make it easy for sellers, and where you don't need to worry about how heavy an item is. You don't need to weigh it because we can already figure that out, and so it makes it a lot easier. And that way, you all you need to do is focus on making the listing great, being a great seller, which you all are, and then shipping the item out. No need to weigh and do all of these um, crazy things there. But yeah, it's still in process. It'll become better and better as we go. So I'm really excited about it as a seller.
All right. Well, with that, thank you so much, everyone, for all of your questions. Thank you to Ryan and Team Depop. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I'll give Ryan a second to say her closing.
Thank you, everyone. It was so nice to be here and appreciate all the kind words and great questions. Hopefully, we'll see you all in the top seller program at some point. But absolute pleasure. Thank you, Vendoo, and thank you, Erynn, for a lovely presentation and having me.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Vendoo community. Stay tuned to your email inbox and subscribe to our blog for more updates about all things Depop and, of course, reselling. And I'll see you next time, reseller friends.